Hello. Once again, it is Write Once, Read Many. This time covering chapter 20.y. Accord, all that.
And Victoria's here because it just so happens to be another interlude.
Yeah, coincidentally.
It's all by design.
There's no speed drop, but this is quite the nice image.
I can read the thing I was reading. This is a blueprint mandala, very beautiful. Just exactly how Accord would draw his blueprints. Because
I forgot to put the link out there. But
oh no, because he wouldn't be able to handle, when you do a blueprint and it's all asymmetrical and there's no balance. And I am curious what his blueprints might look like if he has like the same issues with that. I don't know. I doubt that he is concerned about exactly how quote unquote balanced and beautiful his blueprints are, because I guess it's just like a solution to a problem rather than its own entity.
I think as long as they follow some formal structure that he believes to be correct or whatever, then it's fine.
Yeah. That's how I be too. I was because when we talked about maybe doing a blueprint or a design or something, I was just thinking, I was trying so hard to think back how I used to do them in high school. Because I had a system and it was perfect, and
you were a STEM girly before.
I used to be a hashtag girl in STEM before I became a hashtag girl boss. Technically still in STEM, I guess.
Oh man.
Not really though.
Yeah, no, I mean, only in the vaguest sense. I just justified why we're not in IT on the last episode, so.
I know. We're really not. But yeah, I couldn't remember how to do it, and I was like, I can't do this. So yeah. We went with the mandala, but I'm happy with how it turns out. It got a little bit of blood on it. Don't know what happened there. So strange.
Yeah. But I do like it because it's rotationally it's got a perfect balance.
Yeah.
So
perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Accord and Thanos fanfiction. That's all I gotta say.
Do you think that Accord would be upset after Thanos did the snap and his arm was withered, so his two arms weren't equivalent?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that he would be so not down for Thanos' solution. And it's so funny because they're both trying to solve similar problems, essentially trying to solve world hunger or whatever.
But Thanos is way dumber than Accord. Thanos makes Accord look like a genius.
Is the worst idea ever.
What if you just killed off 50% of the people? No,
not just 50% of the people, but also 50% of the animals, seemingly, which also is 50% of some of the resources. Doesn't really help.
The other thing is having a random 50% gone. It's probably for almost everybody a worse situation than just
if he just specifically.
Because it's it could just be I don't know, it could be really essential people. Now we don't have anybody to keep the power grid going.
Oh my god. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work.
Vale says, I get it. I agree.
Chaos.
50% is just too low.
50% is too low. Honestly though, if he did 99%, that would have been a much better situation.
I totally misread that movie when I first saw it, and I thought that Hawkeye was just killing everybody who lived, because it didn't make he was just killing people, and it didn't seem like they were actual criminals in some way. And also it was really sus because it was in it seemed like a Japanese part of a city, and it seemed like he was just killing Asian people. So when I watched that movie, I really misread what was going on.
Dude, that's Hawkeye's day out and also Taylor's first night out. Very similar. Just starts fucking shooting Asian people for absolutely no reason. So bad.
Vale
Phil
says
said Hawkeye
Hawkeye.
was really upset. That was my interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's lashing out.
Oh man.
So dumb.
I'm just not a Marvel fan.
I did just think that movie was dumb, but it's fine.
Anyway. We had the audience participation question this time as solve one of your pet peeves with an accord solution, which I do believe we got an answer from Vale, so we'll look into that later. And then for themes, there's two that we're pretty solid on, and then one that is very shaky on what we're calling it. But
it's true though. One is like displays of power, like power fronting this like weird nonsense that's going on, like the power struggles between Taylor and the Teeth and the fucking other guys, the Fallen, and then like the way that Accord like really, I don't know, he like really subscribes to that kind of stuff. And so like when Taylor was successful with them, like he just kind of falls in line or whatever. Balance, obviously, a theme. Intrusive thoughts, really big one. I would say like I was gonna like say OCD, but I feel like he just has more like just intrusive thoughts, like kind of on their own rather than like a OCD diagnosis, I guess.
Oh my god!
Like it
Once
probably
again,
started out
my
like
notification noise. Anyway, sorry.
that. Oh,
Go
sorry. Vale said, I wrote a tiny story-ish. Hope you like it. Of course we'll like it, unless it's bad. I'm just kidding. So, that's all I had for themes. Did you have anything else?
No. I mean the ones that those three are all good. I mean we found three distinct themes. That's pretty good for us.
Better than usual. Okay, well, I'll get into it. So Accord, oh my gosh, is on his way to a meeting in the Forsberg Gallery, which this is the same building that they like attacked the heroes in during their party, right?
Yeah.
It's like this like a mostly glass building.
I should have. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pull up the other Forsberg gallery that you hate.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, the most notable thing is that it's mostly made of glass, which means that in the Shatterbird attack, it just was pretty much demolished. But like the whole structure aside from that also bothers Accord because it's just not how he would design a building. It's so asymmetrical. Yeah, here you can see. This was foreshadowing that they were going to crack even more glass later.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this, but back to the.
I have mixed feelings about it. But his power chimes in with a solution on how to fix this building up, which is to just beautifully demolish it with like a crazy ass fucking pendulum, and all his enemies are inside for some reason. He keeps saying like all my enemies, and like I mean I guess he's talking about the Undersiders and the Teeth and
He
everyone,
just means
but
anyone.
I feel like
he means everyone.
I think he just means anyone. Like whoever
my
just happens
enemies
to be there
yeah.
are his enemy at the time. Anyone who has accepted this building is his current enemy. So he kind of like lets himself run with the fantasy for some time, but as soon as he dismisses it, his mind is just flooded with more ideas on how to quote unquote fix the building. And I have a quote here.
Yes. So he opened his eyes to search for something to take his mind off the irritating aspect of the building's design, but he saw only glass shards, discordant in how they had fallen throughout the building. Images rifled through his mind, a network of wires drawn taut by weight plunging through the elevator shaft, moving in concert to sweep the glass shards and signs of human life into the elevator shaft. The same wires would catch his enemies, mangling them as they were cast down after the rain of glass. Between the long fall and the thermite that could reduce the mess to a fine, clean ash, even more durable capes wouldn't be walking away. No, it wasn't constructive to think this way.
I agree, Accord. That was the dumbest shit I ever heard. Could just hire people to sweep the glass, maybe. That would probably work.
My enemy!
My enemy! Then
He's a real, like, plankton.
The thoughts just kind of continue on. So he asks his ambassadors to try to distract him. He's got Citrine, who we met in the Blasto episode, and Othello with him. And Citrine says they are going to be at a disadvantage at this like vantage point that they're at, and she forgets to add "sir" to the end of her sentence. I guess it doesn't have to be in the end; it just has to be in the sentence somewhere. And Accord imagines killing her in a couple different ways, and he chastises her, and they have like this weird intimate moment, on the stairs.
All those like dom sub couples.
Yeah.
He's just like the man of every couple.
Store.
Yeah. It's just I just hate this type of person.
It's so embarrassing. So they're like standing on the stairs, and he's like, this is like one of the only times that he's taller than her, so it's like putting him in this like weird dominant situation, and he's like holding her face and staring into her eyes, and she's like getting more and more nervous and also making eye contact, and he's like, well, Citrine, I really don't want to kill you. And she's like, thank you, sir. So he tells her that she's his best ambassador, and he doesn't want to lose her, and she says she will try harder. This is also very funny because we learned later that she and Othello are the only remaining ambassadors, so he just like said that in front of Othello. Like, he's like, you're slightly better than Othello, and she's like, thank you.
Yeah. You're number one of two.
Vil said, I liked it, but I can never tell if I'm saying enough to get the underlying idea across, or if it's actually good rather than just adequate, if that makes any sense. I can't tell. Vic, as a boss, not a boss, a girl boss, do you relate to wanting to murder anyone? Yes. Who doesn't use a respectful tone? Yes. Is that why Accord is your actual favorite cape? Yes. All that is true.
I don't think you need to have... It's wanting to murder anyone. You could cut the sentence there.
Well, it was a yes there, and it was also...
I mean, it's a double yes, but...
Also that if they don't use a respectful tone. I do have... I love Accord because I relate to him so much. I definitely... I don't think I think of such crazy plans as he does. But I wouldn't say that I don't want to murder people when they don't call me sir. So, anyways,
that's awesome.
They continue up the stairs, and his intrusive thoughts are just kind of getting worse. He tried to get a distraction, but it just kind of didn't really work out. He thinks about his dramatic backstory and his life mission to end world hunger, and nobody cares. And they reach the top of the stairs. Where
every little thing he does, like, he just seems like such a tool to me. Like, I updated all my plans, and they couldn't see I had the ultimate plan.
Listen, I support Accord.
It's like he would have started trying to do
Thanos' plan.
He would have started trying to do his plan, and then like an Endbringer would have come out, or like he would have killed a key person because like no one is polite enough for his standards. Like, another thing is, like, he can't work with anyone, so like he could never put his plan into effect.
Yeah, I mean, his ambassadors would have to, like, he would just have to work through them completely, which
Yeah.
I guess is kind of the intention, is that, like, these people can handle it. These people can handle being around him and being around normies.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's their true superpower. So, he's like, oh, I want to end world hunger. Anyways, the Undersiders and the Teeth are here waiting. And the Teeth are like gross looking. They got like bones and human remains of their enemies worked into their costumes. But he does like appreciate the aesthetic.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Tattletale is like just instigating like always, like she's clearly trying to trigger a chord with like where the meeting's at, and the mutant dogs are all here. And it's just like the way she's sitting and presenting herself. If it was anyone else, I would be like, Accord, I don't know if this is all about you, but this definitely is.
Yeah, this is actually all about him.
This is actually all about him. So Accord ignores Tattletale and instead greets Skitter. And he and the ambassadors take a seat, and the two members of the Fallen arrive soon after. And Skitter tells them to take a seat as well. But is it Valifor or Valefor?
I'm just gonna
Vale.
say Veil 4.
We'll just say Valefor. Valefor from the Fallen, he's like clearly an insta shit bag, and he's like, I saw on the news that you're just a schoolgirl. Like he literally calls her a schoolgirl, and I'm not gonna sit down because a fucking schoolgirl tells me to. And then
He's just like a
but
hick who was raised by a weird cult leader. I mean, like, I don't know.
yeah,
It's just like,
yeah, you just don't
what the
really
fuck is
know
he
like a
coming from?
lot. At this point. But this personality does make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
So
I hate this guy. He's up there with
he's up
teacher
there.
in the like irredeemable zone.
It's like at least teacher wouldn't have been like, I'm not listening to a schoolgirl. It's
That's
just so
true.
like,
I think that teacher would correctly assess. He just like wouldn't care about that aspect of things, you know.
no, he wouldn't think about it at all. He would just think about all his evil plans.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but yeah, Butcher from the Teeth is also kind of quietly refusing to sit. And I pulled a quote here.
So or how can I southern accent this? Very embarrassing. Valifor mused aloud. Really, I don't see why you should get to sit at the head of the table. A 16-year-old girl, a victim of bullying. It doesn't conjure up the most imposing image, does it? If everyone here agreed to suspend the usual rules, I would be more than happy to go head to head with your group, Skitter replied. Of course you would. You outnumber us. Just me, Skitter answered him.
Oh, she's so cool. This whole chapter, Accord's like, damn, this bitch is cool. And that's like partly why I appreciate him. Not a lot of people are like, so I feel like usually when you see Skitter from other people's perspectives, like, yes, she like kind of comes off as cool, but it's more like in an unnerving and like scary sort of way. But this is just a time where she's just like, she's kind of just being herself and she's just cool.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when she's not trying, she can kind of pull it off. I don't know.
Yeah. um Sarah Vatesy says, please talk in a southern accent much more often.
Well,
Um
future chapters will have this same tool. So maybe.
Oh my God, so many. Raina will always have a southern accent. Vale said, is your opinion that he should have said, I will listen to you because you are a schoolgirl trying to understand the problem? Yeah. That's what teacher would have said. He would have been like, I'm teacher and you're the schoolgirl. I will sit down. Um, Yeah, so Accord considers that Skitter must have like some sort of decoy or trap planned out if she's like so confident in this. And Valefor like has mind control abilities, so she would have to have something set up or some sort of like resistance to him. So he looks around and he sees that Valefor is already tangled up in mostly like invisible spider silk threads, and then they all lead to the glassless window. So she was just planning on like fucking throwing them all out the window if this like fight needs to happen. And he just like smiles, Accord smiles to himself, and he tells Valefor that he's already lost the fight and that he himself has gained respect for Skitter in this situation. I think that he's referencing the school situation. Um, I wasn't sure if it's like, is he talking about in this moment he's gained respect for her,
Well,
or
I
like,
definitely took it as he gained respect for her, basically coming up with the kind of ridiculous plan he would, but actually doing
ridiculous
it.
contraption.
Yeah.
Yeah. um, so
Also, do
he
you think
turns.
that she would have gone easy on him and just smashed him into the side of the building, or do you think that she would have just yeeted him entirely out of the building and let him die?
I think maybe she was planning on like yeeting him out, and then they would like he would be like tangled on the side, and maybe like one of the dogs would go get him or something. Like, oh, I don't think that she would have just thrown him out and killed him, but she might.
Yeah.
Like maybe the cables go up like to the roof or something instead of down, and they're like, I don't know,
Well, part of
whatever.
what I
But
was thinking is if she's like letting him live while still throwing him out the window, is he'd probably be tangled and just like after being thrown out, like bang into the side of the building and break a bunch of bones.
yes, yes, probably that.
So,
And then just be like tangled there for until like somebody goes and gets him. Um, yeah, so Accord asks Skitter if she's prepared to kill, and Valefor is like, what is actually happening? Like he does not understand what Accord has picked up on that he's missing. And then I'm gonna pull another quote here.
yes, Skitter gave her belated response, but I'd like to keep to the unwritten rules as abused as they have been lately. Killing should be a last resort. I see. She has some other trap on hand? The bugs at the edge of the room? Can I ask if... No, wait, don't tell me. I'll enjoy it more if I discover it for myself.
I love it. He's like, no spoilers, please. So Skitter requests again that they all take a seat, and Butcher complies. The rest of the teeth are like standing kind of behind her in a half circle. And then the two fallen, Valefor and Eligos, take their seats as well. And Accord realizes that the furniture is also rampant with silk strings. So she's got it all figured out. So Skitter starts in and says that they have rules and stipulations for these three groups being here. So this is clearly like, this is one of those meetings where they're like the crime bosses, and that these groups of people have come here to ask about doing business in their area, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So rule 1 is no killing allowed. Oh my god. You're basically handcuffing them. Like they can't even
They can't even kill?
They can't even kill. This is when I would have left. And she says if killing is necessary, they bring the issue directly to her and she will decide. Number 2, any property they acquire, they pay the Undersiders a third of what they pay. 3, no illegal activity or violence in Undersider territory, which, as we recall, is almost the entire city.
Yeah, that's what people
And
keep complaining
4,
about. They're like, well, where are we supposed to go? And it's like, a different
yeah,
city.
somewhere else. Like, what the hell? And then 4, during any S-class threats, including Endbringers, the teams will contribute half their team or 3 members of their team, whichever is more. And every single point, Accord is like annoyingly complaining about, like during the conversation,
I
which
think that he's just
to
like
me,
not over the fact that he was given a better offer before this meeting, and because he didn't accept it, they gave him a shit offer at this
they
meeting.
gave him like literally the worst offer.
He's
But
like,
it's like
why is
even on
this
the
so much
first
worse than
one,
the other deal?
and the first one, he's like, Skitter's like, okay, I'm gonna talk about the rules, and then Accord's like, I've already heard the rules, and then Skitter's like, the rules have changed, and he's like, okay, and then she's like, one, no killing, and he's like, I know this one, and it's like, dude, there's fucking other people here, shut up.
Yeah.
This was the part that made me most mad. Um, but yeah. So he's like complaining about each thing, and then Skitter proclaims that Accord and the ambassadors will be agreeing regardless of the terms in order to take advantage of the portal. So she's not really worried about them at all, and literally like says
He's
it
like,
to
well
you to your face.
played. It's exactly what I'm going to do.
He's like, I'm not going to agree to this, and she's like, yes, you will, and he's like, damn it,
Oh,
damn it,
man.
she got me.
Greg slides in with the classic, I am altering the deal. Pray I do not alter it further. Skitter, probably.
So the Fallen stand up and leave on the count of having to fight the Endbringers. As you will
They're like, this
recall,
is bullshit.
yeah, they're like, we can't do that. We worship the Endbringers. They're like a fucking Endbringer cult. So, yeah, they're not gonna do that. And the Teeth also reject the terms. And I have a quote here.
Skitter turned her attention to the other leader. Butcher? No, the woman replied, standing from the table. I didn't think so. Do you have any other business you'd like to bring up while we're all here? You die, Butcher said. You can't kill me. I will win. With that, her longest statement yet, she turned and walked away.
It's very dramatic. So Accord drops some butcher lore for everybody. And there's like a long line of butchers. There's each one who like kills the last inherits a fraction of the previous one's powers and consciousness. Crazy. It's a lot of people in there. This is butcher number 14. So she's got little slices of 14 different powers. Plus little slices of their consciousnesses as well.
I think she gets to keep her full original power also.
Yes, I believe so.
And this is another one where, like, Accord, he's just like, I can't believe that Tattletale has interrupted me.
Yeah, he's like, it just like gets out of hand from here. There's like, so now they all left, and so there's all this room at the table. So the rest of the Undersiders all sit down, and they don't ask for permission. And so Accord gets all triggered, and he says so. And then Tattletale's like, it's our territory, our rules. Then he talks down to her in a little kid voice, and like this like super triggers her. Which is so funny. He's like accidentally successful here. But Skitter shuts it all down with a word, and that pretty much impresses Accord on top of the fact that she had her identity outed less than 12 hours ago, and she's like being so fucking cool. So
She's
he
such a girl
agrees
boss.
to their conditions. Yeah, he loves a girl boss, honestly.
What do we got
Vale
from
said
Vale?
this led to one of the most unbelievable parts of the story. Taylor doesn't take that power. She's always whining how much better she would be with other Cape's powers, and it's so sad to be alone. Dude, I was like, I feel like maybe Wildbow was setting up something like between Butcher and Imp from this chapter, because it seemed like Imp was like creeping up to Butcher or whatever, and like maybe wanted to like take the power. But I'm glad it didn't go through, because can you imagine poor Imp / Butcher?
Yeah, I mean,
It
you know what?
wouldn't have
Imp
been
would have
good
broken the
response.
cycle and not called herself Butcher. She still would have been Imp.
Yeah, she would have been Imp still.
And her basic power is so good that if you added those other powers,
Oh my god, she'd be unstoppable. Are you kidding?
teleportation, healing, super strength, just God tier.
Oh, that's crazy. It would be really good. So outside the meeting, Accord and his team are discussing whether they would be able to take on any of these three groups. And Othello says his other self, like I said, he could see Imp getting close to Butcher during the meeting, so his power might actually cancel hers out. Like he can still see her. And Citrine says that a lot of other people have thought that they could take on the Undersiders and still lost. And Accord's like, that's true. You're so smart. You're my best ambassador, Citrine. And Othello lets a single tear drop.
Othello, you're my second best ambassador.
Othello, you're my second. um, so he says he's going to need to recruit, and they can start by focusing on the Teeth and the Fallen. And he thinks to himself that he will have the biggest trouble with Skitter and Tattletale in an altercation. So he really hopes it doesn't come to that. He's not like planning on betraying them. He just wants to, cover all his bases. So
I think so Othello is like, I mean, he's one guy, but he's kind of two guys. Like, he doesn't have a split personality at all, I don't think, but he is, like, physically two people. He's like a Gestalt. And, like...
Yeah, I thought he had, like, a shadow self or something.
Yeah, I think the shadow self, who is outside of their reality but can see it, which he can, like, switch which of him is the in-body, which is the shadow self, whatever. So it can act as, like, a kind of teleport in a way, because he's, like, moving from place to place, whatever.
Oh.
But I think when he is, like, in the other state, that version of himself can see Imp normally, and her power doesn't affect him. So... Yeah.
Very cool. I don't know. I was like, when he said that, I was like, I gotta know more.
Yeah. I don't think we actually end up learning that much more about this power, but it's one of those intriguing ones.
Yeah. It's also good to see like powers that are resistant to imps, because like they're always like so confident, except when there's cameras involved, like when there's dragon involved or whatever. But like, there are other people.
Yeah, it's like anyone who can sense a feedback from their emotion power, that is typically something that can sense her anyway. Like Cherish, which is what we saw in the past. But, there's a bunch of different capes who kind of can do that.
Yeah. So they arrive at their new office building and request... Accord requests the the 5 first tier employees with the best grades. What the hell are you talking about? To be sent in. So they come in and he tells them that they're all being promoted to ambassadors starting tomorrow, and then just immediately dismisses them. And he places a phone call and is quickly greeted with a doorway in his bedroom. So on the other side is the Number Man, and he's in the Cauldron headquarters. The only building that has white floors, white walls, and white ceilings in the world.
Yeah, the only one.
It's like so funny because it's like all buildings look like this, but whenever they talk about it, you're like, oh, of course, Cauldron.
Yeah.
And Accord orders 5 more vials from him. Done and done, the portal closes, and Accord lounges on his bed, missing his best friend Coil, and hoping things work out with the
it's clear he's
Undersiders.
also friends with the Number Man, and as cool as the Number Man's power, is, that guy is also a tool.
He's got, like, the creepiest, weirdest friends. Like, Coil and the Number Man, are you kidding me? They're so gross.
Yeah. It's like, ugh. And you gotta think, he's only one jump away. Number Man's best friend is fucking Jack.
Yeah.
They're all such tools. Anyway. That's like the nail in the coffin for Accord. He's best friends with Coil. If only they had befriended Kraus. Kraus is not on the level of any of those guys. I am sorry.
Because, first of all, Kraus is, 17.
And he's acting from, places of emotion, whereas these guys are, they're still emotional in I think that Krause has like sympathetic motivations where he like wants to save someone, and these guys are like, everyone must conform to my thing.
Vale, I will not stand for
For this
Krause
Krause
slander.
slander.
I will stand for Krause slander sometimes, but not right now. Not when we're talking about. Oh my God, Vale said Krause is worse than all of them. Such a nerd, dude. It's so funny because like Quail does want to be friends with Krause. Like the way he
Yeah,
talks
Coyle
about
actually
Krause,
does want
it's
to be
like
friends with Krause. He's like, this Krause guy seemed
he,
pretty cool. Like a
he's like
real
he seems
scion
pretty
of
cool.
youth.
I love his like cool austere face. He's so sassy and smart. Like
He'll like
Quail
do,
wishes he
he's
could be
pretty
friends with Krause.
cutthroat. Like, I mean, I don't know. We could be like business partners.
Oh my God, business partners, but sometimes we hang out. Sometimes we have movie nights. Oh my God.
So yeah, that's the chapter.
Yeah, what do we have to say about this chapter? I think it's a good chapter.
I think
Like you
it
said,
reveals a
not
good
like
amount of
super plot
information.
relevant.
Well,
Um,
it like tells us about the upcoming groups, but I am overall not that much of a fan of it. I hate being in a Accords head.
I love being in a chorus.
Like there aren't that many chapters where I'm like where I think about skipping it, but this is on the maybe skip list if I was listening alone. I probably
Bill
wouldn't.
said Bill said Krause can organize any space without having to move. He's the ultimate fourth wheel for the villain friend group. Oh my God,
Dude,
true.
Accord also wanted to be friends with him. He's like, I like how your power works, the balance.
Yeah,
Like,
dude,
if
these,
only
like,
the Number
weird
Man had
creep
had a
men.
chance to meet Krause, he'd be like, you're gonna be the fourth guy at the fishing trip.
Oh my God, they think they want to be Krause's friend so bad, but Krause would never. Like he would go and then he would just be like, "Oh, these fucking guys."
He would have Crispy's voice, even though he's from Wisconsin, and he'd be like, haha, sorry, old man. Yeah,
Oh my God.
he would totally, he would go there to get something from them, and then he would, have betrayed them, and they would all be like, no, Krause! You were my only friend. Yeah. And then they'd all look at each other after having all yelled, you were my only friend.
So sad. Yeah, I do like this. I do like this chapter. I mean, I like being in a Accords head, but I do understand why one would not like being in a Accords head. Phil said, "Perfect for it. No mess, no fuss. Hooks baited, fishing ensues."
Yeah.
I should have drawn that for this chapter art.
The fishing trip with Krause on it.
Fishing trip, and then they just keep inviting Krause every single weekend, and he's like, "Oh, like I feel like I'm sorry, I'm busy this weekend. You know, big fight. Oh, okay." And then like they find out that he was hanging out with his real friends, the travelers, and they're like,
"You guys didn't
right.
even do anything special. You just played Ransack."
You just always are playing Ransack. Krause, you don't even like Ransack. You like fishing. Bill says, but Krause keeps bringing Noelle. Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah.
He like keeps inviting Noelle, and Noelle's like a huge bummer. They fucking hate her.
It's like the no spouses at the game night rule.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, can she come too? 40-foot tall Noelle shyly standing to the side. She eats all the fucking fish before they can do anything about it.
Oh, she like, keeps making fish duplicates that are way more evil.
Dude, yeah, and they're like evil fish. And they're just flopping evilly. Oh my God. Okay, let's talk about, did we want to go over all the arc stuff?
I would love to. What is your impression of this often cited best arc? I mean, I don't think it's the best arc, but many say that.
Oh, really? Best arc? I mean, I think it's a good arc.
I have definitely heard many say that it's their favorite.
That's crazy.
Although I think 22 is like way better than 20, frankly.
Yeah. I think this was a good arc. Like, I feel like it's so like we said, like there's kind of a time jump. It like it really like only
Taylor gets to
covers
be
one
confident
thing.
Taylor. Yeah, and it covers a
Yeah.
single little event, basically, and
Yeah,
it's
it
just
covers
kaboom.
literally like one event, like one day, and it's like so low stake and not low stakes. Well, it
No
is.
one's
It's so
trying to
much
murder her right
more.
now.
Nobody's trying to not just murder her, but like kidnap and torture her and turn her into a scarier version of Taylor where she can't control her power and she's covered in bugs all the time or like whatever, you know.
Or like clone
So like
her or anything.
yeah, like this is so normal. And I like that. I thought it's like a nice little relaxing. And then it like, it kind of ends with setting up the maybe probably not the next conflict that happens, but an upcoming very large conflict that we know is maybe associated with like the end of the world with Jack and stuff. And then we get to see Taylor totally like totally recovered basically
It's
from
almost
this
weird.
thing.
In the .x chapter, like the previous chapter, we get like the long-term stuff through
Uh-huh.
and it's like longer and longer term as it goes because the Dragon and Defiant stuff will be in a couple arcs and
Right.
whatever, and then the Jack stuff is going to be like way later. And then the next chapter, this one sets up the super short-term goals, like everyone they're going to deal with and then in like exactly the next arc.
Right. And like how she's like Taylor specifically like dealing with them and how they feel about her and stuff. Yeah, so I don't know. I thought it was really good. I wouldn't say it's the best one. I think it's like a really good refresher arc. Like there's usually those arcs after there's like the really big conflict.
It does seem
Then
like,
there's gonna
yeah,
be like,
very much like brand new status quo, and like it's got the low stakes of the first chapter of an arc kind of thing,
mhm.
where it definitely feels to me because some people say like this is the denouement of the last section of the story, and I'm like, no, this is the start of the movement after all the Echidna stuff is over. That's why it's like post time
Yeah.
skip and everything too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good though. Yeah, I don't know. Do you
It's
have anything
pretty
else to say
dang
about it?
short, like 5 chapters and then the
Right.
two interludes.
Yeah. And the chapters aren't especially long. I feel like they're really gonna kick off from here.
Yeah, they're gonna start getting pretty long. Admittedly, these last two interludes were both like around a 45-minute audiobook, but when you're summarizing it, it's pretty efficient. I'm not
Mm.
as
Yeah.
adept at that, but anyway, um, we can move on to the characters. I feel
Yeah.
like you should talk about Accord.
Okay. I'll just skim over Othello. Loser, no one cares about him. Um,
Jesus, I think
he's
he's
one
got
of
such an
what
interesting weird power,
he
and
has
like we
he has a
learn
really cool power.
almost nothing about him.
Yeah, he all we know is that he's not as good as Citrine, but he is still alive.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Um,
like he was able to survive because he was able to like dodge about and not get owned like the rest of the.
yeah, I will now specifically comment that Citrine, while Accord is talking to her and thinking about murdering her, is getting like weird and turned on.
Yeah, yeah. You didn't mention
Um,
it in your summary. You're like she gets
I didn't
nervous,
mention
and it's like
it was a
it's nervous in a certain way. She's
it
like,
was a character it was a character moment more than anything.
yeah,
And he's like, calm yourself, Citrine.
vomit,
um
vomit.
I ca- oh my god, it's such a really strange interaction. I don't know what's wrong with this girl for real.
Yeah.
Especially because it's like she's probably watched people get taken down, like literally murdered for the very thing she just did. So it's not like she's misinterpreting the interaction.
She's like,
And
oh
like
yeah.
she's like, "Oh my God, he's gonna kill me." It's exciting. Um, Vale said, "Sorry, last visual. Accord, Numberman, Coil, sitting on an extremely elevated corner of the boat, looking annoyed as hell. Noelle sitting on the other side, nearly sinking the boat. Cross glue."
Oh yeah.
It is a good one, Vale. Uh,
I also like that
Crouch,
Crouch.
Crouch, sauerkraut. Um, okay, that's all I have to say about Citrine. Do you have anything? Any comments?
Um, her power is also really cool, and we'll learn about it later. And
Yeah, they don't get into it, but she just kind of like vaguely mentions like that when they're going upstairs, she's like, I don't feel like Othello and I are gonna be like in a good advantage with our powers or whatever. Um, and then he's like, "What did you say? How did you put your name in the goblet of fire?"
yeah,
You know, that kind of
basically.
moment.
Um,
Um,
Jesus.
I was telling, okay, I'm sorry. I love that scene. I was telling Kason about it recently because he's
Mhm.
watched all the Harry Potter movies, but he never read the books. And I was like, remember that scene?
Dude, I love it
Right.
because in the little like 10-second video on YouTube, that's like the perfect encapsulation where it's like he asked calmly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really funny. But okay, Accord. Accord really wants to solve world hunger. He clearly bought his powers, so didn't have like a related trigger, but it seems like soon after um he decided to write out a solution to world hunger, and he brought it to his boss, and his boss was like, "Shut up, dude." And yeah. I mean, that makes sense because it does not seem like he was working in a department that could even do anything with that. Like he specifically
Just
works
to
in a
be
department.
clear, Alien Cat Daddy, we have had plenty of pushback on the Kraus slander.
No, 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 we don't do Crosslander. This is Veil only. Um, we just think that Kraus would be like like all the Number Man
And
and
Coil and
Accord
Accord all
and
want to be
Coil.
friends with Kraus. They like want so badly to be friends with him, and then
They think
like
he's so fucking cool.
and he keeps like hanging them out to dry, and he keeps like bringing Noel every time they go.
Stupid. Um, anyways, yeah, he wants to solve world hunger. He takes it to his boss. His boss is like, shut up, Accord. And he's already working, like he works specifically to is it like Watchdog that he's with? Like
Yeah, he
he's
worked at
specifically
Watchdog.
okay, so he's
They don't
supposed to
name it
be
here though, but he did.
right. Right, that's what I was thinking. He's supposed to be like watching transactions and making sure that there's not capes like using
They're
their
basically supposed
powers
to prop up
to
the existing corrupt system, so that there's
yeah.
no upset in the status quo. But as we'll see in the
Yeah.
Las Vegas chapter, the status quo has been upset.
Yeah, and he like it's so funny because he's like, "Well, I'm so good at my thing that I'm gonna start stealing money and no one will catch me." And then they like immediately catch him and he's like, "Oh, shucks."
Well, the thing is, they
Um
never catch Coil.
yeah, they never catch Coil.
I think because his
Coil's
power
much
is a
better at it.
precog power, and it's like harder for them to detect because it's so much all in his head.
Right, there's not like a lot of I feel like m most other like precogs and thinkers can't even tell like when he's doing it. Like Dinah can tell when he's doing it.
But she's so
I feel like
strong.
but she's just cooler than everyone else.
Yeah.
Um, Coil keeps being like, guys, can I bring her to the fishing trip too? He's like cheating during the fishing trip. He's like putting his line in and then splitting realities.
Yeah, yeah.
Trying to get the biggest fish. Okay. Yeah, so then he becomes like his own villain or whatever. He wants to fucking basically this is all just like a really extravagant means to an end where like he thinks that someday he will have the resources and the clout to be able to pull off this plan to I mean it's like to quote unquote solve world hunger but it seems like from the plan like in the meantime he's also solving like the housing crisis and issues with climate change and that kind of thing. So it isn't just attacking one prong of the issue. It's like he is like you have to he has like this whole entire plan that kind of solves all of the issues with the end of solving world hunger.
Yeah, but the problem is that he can't work with anybody because he's so obsessed with his own hyper specific, like, you have to follow my rules of etiquette.
Yeah, he's too busy killing people because they didn't say sir sometime during their sentence. He like loses his mind that the children sat down without getting permission, which is like very specific. I mean, maybe it's like more common in Capedom, but like nobody gives me permission to sit down. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
It's so strange. Um, let's see. And then what else did we learn about Accord? He's got some problems.
Some would say that. I would say that.
Some would say that. Um, he has very strong opinions on people. He likes Skitter. It's really interesting because like when he walks into the room, his reaction is like, "Oh, like I don't like Skitter because of her power, like bugs." And then after he is like impressed by her and likes her, then he either like he takes a closer look and then sees that her bugs are like a lot more like orderly than he had originally thought, or he like projects that onto her where like it looks the same and he's like picking it up the same, but he's like, oh, well, well, actually, there is like a rhyme and reason to the bugs, and it isn't actually as chaotic as I had originally thought. So he even is like able to, and I feel like maybe he has like a similar dynamic with Citrine. Like, Citrine is not polite. Like Citrine does not fit into his idea of like what he wants an ambassador to be, but I think because he just likes Citrine that he's like able to look past a lot of it.
Yeah, and like he, talking about him being a weird creep, he literally groomed her since a teenager, which we know
Yes,
from
he
like
did do
other info.
that. Like he went and found her and was like, I want this rowdy teenager to like be my, which I mean it makes it better. He basically in this chapter he basically says that he is asexual, um, but
Kind
but
of.
because it's
It's one
too
of the like
messy
the way he says it is
and
so sus because it's like 5 lines separated from him being like, I hate creating a mess. I just love cleaning it up. It's so
yeah.
gross. He's such a freak.
Yeah, and then there's like the weird interaction with Citrine, and he's like, "Oh, she's so beautiful," and then he's like, "But I'm not interested in that." And then several scene, like
I'm just
later that
obsessed
scene,
with forcing her to stay beautiful by like spending hours a day on her appearance.
yeah, he's got some weird things going on. I would say that he still counts as a hashtag ace.
And you know what?
But
It's like we always talk about. We don't just want like we don't want wholesome representation. We want
yeah, we
dirtbag
want
representation.
nasty,
So
nasty dirtbag
I guess
representation.
this kind of works.
It's not like it's like I know that he's bad, but also it's not like Tattletale is wholesome representation either.
Yeah, yeah,
She's also a dirtbag.
yeah. And
Um,
they're both not allies.
they're both oh my god, they're both like super not allies. Like he doesn't say anything bigoted, but you can tell from Accord. And then
He's like
uh
the trad wives were right.
yeah, and Tattletale has just like outed multiple people at this point. I don't think that she's done everyone yet because I think that the situation with Parian happens later where
But
she's
like
like,
in one
Parian,
chapter or
stop keeping
whatever,
secrets from us.
Parian, you need to
Oh my
get
god.
closer to the team. And then Parian's like, and then she's like, not like that, but maybe wink.
But maybe. Yeah, anti-allies. Um, cool. Well, that's all I have to say about Accord. I like Accord.
I think we should talk about the
You
other
don't like
fools who
Accord.
were there.
Oh, Oh, so many children. Let's talk about the teeth.
I like the teeth, cause they're real weirdos, and
Yeah.
they're one of those groups who is exactly as successful as they seem like they'd be. They have a fairly good set of powers, and like they have a game plan for fights, but they're so reckless, and people on their crew clearly die and kill each other so often that they can't
Yeah,
keep
they're
like
like
a
really
consistent lineup.
murdery. They're like wearing as far as I could tell, it seemed like they're wearing like literal human remains.
Literal human
I mean,
bones, often, I think.
yeah, and I got thrown off because he also references eyes, which I guess they could have like preserved in some way and put on their costumes, but gross.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
they're
will
like too
say,
violent and stuff.
yeah, they're like a perfect example of, like all three of these groups, Accord included, are perfect examples of like the traps Taylor's trying to not fall into, where the teeth are too violent, and it takes like negotiation off the table, and it means that people like the Undersiders who can beat them are going to go all out. And even if they can't beat them by themselves, they're going to pay mercenaries to come in at you from all sides.
Hmm.
The thing is,
Yeah.
Augur's not aligned with anybody, but when he walks in the door and sends a hole through your stomach, you're just as dead.
Oh my God.
So, they'll pay somebody to kill you.
Hmm.
And then obviously,
The Fallen.
the Fallen are like too far in the like they're from a literal cult,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
they can't be negotiated with at all. They can't be reasoned with. Accord can be negotiated with and reasoned with, but just barely. And he's too extreme in his
Hmm.
ideology too, and his like
Right.
weird internal struggles.
Yeah.
So,
It's
um, mhm.
seemingly been detrimental in the past, like with as far as I can tell, it seems like he'll just like cut through ambassadors, like if he needs to.
Yeah.
And the only reason that he isn't right now is because these are the only two left after the Slaughterhouse 9 attack. So,
Yeah,
um,
he spends millions of dollars on vials for needlessly killing his guys, and he's like, "Why do I never accrue any funds?"
he's like, why don't I have enough funding to end world hunger yet? Um,
And the other thing is, like, the
uh,
number man could just give him the number he needs of dollars. Like, it's all so malleable to him.
Oh my God, that's true. Well, I don't know,
Number
like maybe
man,
he
good
would like
friend.
my best friend the number man. I know that the number man doesn't look like this, but I always imagine the number man to look like I can't remember the actor's name, but the energy vampire in What We
Oh,
Do in the
Colin Robinson.
Shadows. Yeah,
Colleen
he
Robinson.
looks like Colin Robinson in my head. And so it makes it even funnier. It's like this Colin Robinson, and then it's like this really like short Accord guy, and then like the tall, skinny, scrawny, gross looking Coil. They're all
I
best
think
friends.
that the number man is supposed to more or less look like how there's that Animal Crossing cat that looks kind of like Kason. Uh,
Yeah, the hot one, Raymond.
I think that more or less Kurt is supposed to look like Raymond, but like a
Yeah,
human.
that could be true. It's so funny. M has she has Raymond on her island, and one time she gifted him a towel, and so every time I like go visit and go into his house, he's like walking around in like a towel wrapped around him. And it like just adds to like the weird effect of like this like cat that everybody thinks is hot in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
And he's walking around in his little towel. Um too much.
The
Um
implication. What has
the
happened?
implication. Dastardly. Um we could talk about the Fallen. The other person doesn't say anything. What is their name?
Eligos.
The
None of the other
Yeah.
teeth say anything. Only Butcher talks.
Yeah, so they just are there. And then Veil 4 is also is the only one who talks really, from the Fallen. And he sucks. He's
Hmm.
just he's just like his like argument for like not wanting to listen to Taylor. Like he's just clearly trying to be argumentative. And then
I'm
like
gonna
he
use
just
sexism for my benefit, even
yeah,
though
like
my whole thing is following my mama.
yeah, exactly. Like it's like so weird and like like unthoughtful. Like he's not being thoughtful in the way that like Accord
Like
and
Butcher also
Butcher
doesn't
are.
underestimate Taylor because like in the parahumans realm, like it kind of doesn't matter what you look like or your background is. Like
Right, yeah. Like who cares that she's a teenager? Like Vista has murdered people. I'm pretty sure at this point.
yes, already has.
Yeah, like we usually when people are like become capes, like those kinds of things, like gender and age, and I wouldn't even like categorize race because that there's not like the same kind of power dynamic with that. So it's mostly just gender and age. Um,
A lot of it is
those
because
just
they're
get
like
kicked.
fully full cover costumes. Like not always,
Yeah,
but like
yeah, for sure.
that's a factor. Yeah.
Yeah. And like those things just get like not considered anymore. Like even the like the E88 are like perfectly fine with like having women high up on their ranks, even though they like do have like built in like sexism and misogyny into their like operations and stuff. When you become a cape, that is just totally not a consideration anymore.
Yeah. Well, there are lines like the E88 are still like racist enough that they would never have someone who's not white. So
Right. That's
there is
true.
that.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's a lot of stuff like that where there's like the ideological boundaries will widen but not like end.
They won't like yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like just really telling when a fucking cape comes in and they're like, "You're just a 16-year-old schoolgirl." I thought it was a little out of character for him to say call her a victim of bullying. I don't think that they would use the word victim, to be honest. Like I mean, he could be using that as an insult, like, "Oh, and she's a victim." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the way that those kinds of people do.
yeah.
So maybe that's how it was coming off, but
Well, there's so many
gross.
people. There's so many people who like I just think like August Prince could directly defeat like Valefor because Valefor wouldn't be able to use his power offensively against August Prince, and he's like a little boy, and he would just like walk up and just beat you with his little
Yeah.
bat, and it's like, yeah, you say that he has no right to be at the table because he's a little boy.
He would
Well, he just beat you
he
up with
would
a
just
bat.
he could just stick his fingers right in his eyes and scoop him out. That'd
He
be crazy.
totally could.
Um this is interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a really weird call from him. And then I think maybe he like notices that it's a weird call because the chord's like, "You're an idiot." And then when the teeth like sit down as well, then he like totally drops the argument and he's like, "Oh, okay, whatever." But then obviously like doesn't go along with the situation specifically because like the terms aren't good, but the only like the like reasonable term is like when there's an S-class threat, you do have to go fight them because that's a thing that like a lot of heroes, well, a lot of villain capes do anyways, but they specifically will not do that because they are an Endbringer cult. They're pro Endbringers.
What are the chances that Taylor had like blocked out
I
her
think she
eyes
gave
so
that.
she couldn't see and she was operating on only bug physicality sense so he
I
literally couldn't hit her with the power?
I was thinking that as
Like just close
well.
your
I wasn't
eyes.
sure if she could just close it. I was thinking that she probably just had her eyes closed the whole time.
Hmm.
Um, or that she like put like she like maybe she could have just not put her glasses lenses in.
I
Or
thought that
like
at first and then
cover.
I was like actually it's a huge pain in the ass to pop them out and put them back in because we hear
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm sure that that's just what she was doing. Because I mean, maybe she like I don't know, because she does like to see people's expressions and stuff, and Accord really lends himself to that with his mask specifically, because you can still see his expressions. I do appreciate that about Accord as well, okay?
Mhm.
Like, that's really considerate to other people. You're
True.
letting everybody else see how you're expressing when like you can't see anybody else. That's a crazy move.
I suppose that's true. How polite
It's
of
a
him.
crazy move. It's very polite. I appreciate it. I just don't really
I'm
understand
so
why he
buttoned
does
up
it.
they'll gain nothing from looking at my face.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. He's like,
They'll
I'll
only
just
see what I
smile
want them to
occasionally.
see. Dude, I know he's the type who would think he doesn't cackle, but then like when you play, you do like a thing where you record him for a day, and you're like, you just do it like all the time, and he's like, I
You're
don't
just
remember
always
doing
doing
this.
evil cackles. You keep saying, my enemies!
Oh my god.
Anyways, that's all I have to say about Valefor. What a dipshit.
Yeah, yeah. Valefor is based off of the Seamerg, and Elegos is based off of Behemoth. So
Right.
there's that.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, Notable. I don't think they mentioned at all what the other one's powers were.
right. I don't think
Just that
that we talked
just that
about it.
Valefor had some sort of mind control that goes through the eyes.
Yeah, yeah. Let's move on to I think the powers knowledge. Oh wait, we didn't touch on the Undersiders. They
Oh yes.
Taylor must have talked to them beforehand and been like, "Look, I want you to act unruly, but then when I say shut the fuck up, everybody has to shut the fuck up."
Oh my gosh. I just feel like they're just naturally like that. And honestly, they're so much less unruly than usual. Like the only thing that happens, like maybe I'm thinking back, but I think the only thing that happens is when Imp and uh Imp and Alec go and sit down and he puts his feet like up on the desk in front of her and she like shoves him. Which it's like that was so much more inappropriate than what he got mad about, which is that they sat down.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like they totally did that. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they just did that. And then he's like, how could you have just done that? You didn't have permission to sit down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so dumb.
It's pretty dumb. But I was thinking of Parian. Saba is wearing a different costume.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
had
she's
been
here.
wearing the very unrealistic blonde version of herself.
Yeah, she has black curls and she's a little bit more gothic. She's making like scary stuffed animals, which is just so funny. Like I feel like the scary stuffed animals is like even like way goofier than if they used cute ones. Like Tattletale is on like a goth scorpion this whole scene.
Yeah, and it's like it's supposedly made of spider silk, which is means it must be like crazy powerful compared to usual. You know?
Yeah. It's like a fucking bulletproof scorpion shell. They could all just be start fighting like inside her weird creations.
Yeah, going around with armor.
Like, yeah, like hide her out in them and stuff. Yeah, Parian is here. She doesn't do anything the whole time. She sits there, with her hands folded, and he notes that he's like, she does not want to be here.
I can tell when someone doesn't want to be here. It's all the time that they're around me.
Yeah. Anytime someone politely folds their hands around me, which I do require everyone to do.
Yeah. I don't know. Powers, knowledge, world building. I feel like seeing this place again after it was like to me, described so beautifully early on, where it like changed colors with the sunset to like first mimic it and then like show a delayed version of it, and like shine into the. I don't know. It seemed awesome, and then it's just like
Yeah, it seems like a really cool building.
now it's fucked.
And now like there's just the steel beams. Like there's no way they can replace all that glass. Like I don't know. It's just a mess, dude. Very sad.
And Accord, in typical Accord fashion, was like, I hate the unhoused. He saw a sleeping bag and was like, I wish I hadn't looked.
Yeah, it's a very funny reaction. He's like, oh, disgusting.
Yeah, my word. You know, I couldn't figure out. I don't know that he actually does have a cauldron power. I think he might have been a natural trigger event and was working as a powered cape for Watchdog. I was trying to figure out if it ever said, but I think it just doesn't say one way or the other.
It doesn't say this chapter, and I thought that it didn't say it because then you have, like, we already know that he works with Cauldron or whatever, but then you, like, see him specifically buy powers for his ambassadors, which I don't think that you knew that we knew that before, that, like, the ambassadors work with him, like, with the hope of essentially getting powers, I think.
Yeah.
It seems like that's what a lot of people are doing.
I think so.
But it never says, like, after that reveal happens, it doesn't say, like, yeah, like, the first time I talked to the number man, that I was getting my own powers or anything like that.
Well, because the other thing is, like, we know that normal trigger event capes find their way to Cauldron because the number man is another, like, normal trigger event guy.
Yeah. He definitely could be either. I agree because he does have, like,
because it fits his personality, like, so well.
Yeah, I feel like he probably, if he hadn't had these issues before, he probably would have mentioned it, but he probably had OCD and, like, pretty bad intrusive thoughts before, and then, like, was triggered during something, you know, adjacent to that, and then it, like, really exasperated it.
Greg hit us with the classic line, I hate the homelessness problem that plagues our city.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't see anything online about it. We'll just put a pin in that and keep it in mind for when we see anything come up.
Yeah. I think that's kind of it. I mean, we learned about the other teams existing, but we talked about them in characters. Yeah, we can move on to the bonus, which is nothing because I did know a bonus. So, audience participation.
Audience participation.
So the question was, solve one of your pet peeves with an Accord solution, and Vale wrote us a little book. Of all the mundane things life threw at him, he truly viscerally hated getting wet. The splash from a faucet, the stray droplets from an opening shower door, the first tentative drops of rain on a cloudy day. He hated them all. The sudden surprise, the mental battle to quell his autonomic response and recognize the absence of pain, the lingering hypervigilance, the inevitable depression after, and the dread before. He hated it. Shortly after his trigger, his mind teeming with wondrous and terrifying solutions for every problem, he'd stepped outside only to be caught in a sudden downpour. His superpower, it seemed, had seized upon his pet peeve of water, amplified his secondary dislike of venturing outdoors. The solution materialized with effortless clarity, despite its complexity and sheer scale. Microwave emitters, layers upon layers of self-healing plastics, internal mobility while strapped in, a kitchen stocked via high-security dumbwaiters. It was a fascinating, beautiful puzzle. He got to work. His power not only solved the problem, but also imbued the monstrous creation with an aesthetic charm. The result, a 300-foot-tall, 200,000 square foot mobile fortress worn like a suit, every inch connected to his mind, designed to never feel the sensation of wetness. It also earned him the cape name Cathedral. This was merely the first grand problem he tackled. He bypassed world peace, deterred by the projected population decline necessary to achieve it, and instead embarked on a multi-year program to end world hunger.
That's funny.
See,
Because
Vale,
we were talking about killing people for resources earlier.
this answer does work, but I wanted you to solve one of your own pet peeves, unless that is your pet peeves.
That's okay. That's okay. I don't mind this. Also, I wanted to read what Halloween had said yesterday.
Oh yes.
Sorry, this isn't precisely answering the question, but I can't get over how fucking funny Accord is. He gets mad at people and starts building a way to do some Rube Goldberg machine Tom and Jerry shit to them in his head. He's literally just out there every day of his life. Like, ugh, this person cut in front of me in line. Let's vividly envision how to smash them with a giant cartoon hammer like they're Wile E. Coyote. Guy who gets mad and starts mentally preparing contraptions. Yeah, that is true. He does give very, very Wile E. Coyote vibes.
Yeah.
We all said they hate getting wet. Okay.
All right.
So it is.
As long as it's your pet peeve, I appreciate that.
Yeah. We're it is a good one.
I thought at first it was just a hypothetical one that Accord has. Because if you told me Accord hates to get touched by water, like Dadoy. He hates everything.
Mine is gonna be to stop red light runners. Can't stand it. I get so angry.
Okay, and what terrible contraption will you come up with?
As soon as the light it's so bad because it causes more problems.
It's got to.
As soon as the light turns red, then out from the ground will emerge like fucking like spiked wheels or saws or something, and they'll go only in the like parallel to the cars that are supposed to be going, so you can still go straight, but if you are running the red light, it would just shred your fucking tires. And the reason this is a bad contraption is because then you are just blocking the intersection and somebody has to come out and tow you.
Yeah. It's a typical Accord solution. Like, yes, accidentally cause more disruption. Perfect.
Yeah, it's like perfect because, and then he'll be like, the cleanup. I'll get to remove this. I also considered, have you seen those, like, I don't even know what they are. I was going to say they might be AI generated, but I feel like they're more of like an engineering program or something where like there'll be like, it's like a 3D rendering of different cars. And they'll all be driving down a road and there will be dangerous things on the road. And usually the dangerous thing is just like a giant hammer spinning like in the air. So it like swings all the way up and then swings all the way down over and over and over again. And the cars they can't slow down in time, so they just go through it. And sometimes it hits the car and makes them fly out. Like fly off screen, and sometimes they don't hit the car and the car makes it past okay. And you could do something similar like that.
YouTube videos are just some of the shit you watch.
I will. These are on TikTok.
Okay.
Greg said, "Oh, how very Fall Guys with them." Vil had said, I want a mind control mobile cathedral fortress with microwave emitters, security dumbwaiters, self-healing plastics, and aesthetic charm. That is the true story." Yeah, that is very good. I guess I would do that too. Yeah, I'll send a video of this giant sky hammer hitting the cars. But you could do something similar. So you have giant sky hammers that are spinning in the air, and they are parallel to like the cars that are supposed to be going, and then they'll pause right side up, like aimed towards the sky when they're not supposed to be going, and then the other hammers will go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mine is going to involve I'm just gonna I'm trying to think of a pet peeve that I can solve with dart traps, because I feel like I like when he builds dart traps into things. Like in his office. My pet peeve is when people who aren't supposed to be in support come into support. So I need to set up dart
Oh my
traps
god.
and facial recognition
Yes.
technology. See, this is
Yes.
I'm using evil technology, facial
Evil
recognition,
technology to do good.
to do good. It's really only trained on the faces of the people in the other departments, so it's not that bad
Yes.
because it's only
Yeah.
gonna blast specific people.
Yeah, and it's like it's anybody who is in the system is not allowed to come in. So
Is a
like
pet peeve
um
when other people suggest them to you or misspell it. Suggest peeves? Did I misspell
peeps.
peeve? I guess I did. I spelled it with two E's.
Oh
Um,
my god. Is it peeve with Peave?
well, let me
I don't
see.
know.
Well, according to what I'm
Let
seeing
me send
here,
you this car versus hammer
peeve,
video.
middle age. A peeve was a rural church with. Ah, I see. Peeve is a
Oh
different word.
no.
Well, this one is funny though because it's like you could use this other peeve and be like, I have uh I call it my pet peeve. It's just my favorite middle aged rural church in Italy.
Vale's like
Uh,
cathedral thing reminds me
mhm.
of I don't know where I can't remember what country it is, but it's like a recently or something in some Middle Eastern country they have like this really large plaza area and to deal with the heat they like made these giant ass umbrellas that like that like spool out when it gets hot out or whatever and I thought I personally I'm like that's like a cool fun idea. There's like hundreds and hundreds of them, you know, they're like ginormous and everybody online was like, well, why not just plant trees? And I'm like, am I just a cord? Like, do I want like more complicated solutions? I like the giant umbrellas. Uh,
they the people have a good point about the trees. Just because trees cool areas.
I know, but the giant umbrellas.
Yeah,
They're such when I now that I look at them, they are a very accord contraption. I'll
yeah.
go
They
send
all
it to
have to
General.
sprout and bloom at the same time, and
They do. Well, the trees, it's like too complicated. Like you have to plant them, and then you have to like do pest control. Like there's probably going to be lots of bugs, and then what if there's like a tree plague, you know what I mean? Like when trees get thick, like that's
maybe
probably hard to deal with.
maybe that'll make the problem have more complicatedness, so his power will actually get more effective at solving the problem.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And Greg makes a good point, which is my biggest peeve is Shalpatine. Nailing us with the song references. Um,
Great.
and then
Oh yeah.
what we got here? Vale says, block the sun with a giant man made mechanical device, villain. Block the sun with a gently swaying, nice smelling tree, hero. And then Greg hits us with, at least umbrellas don't have pollen.
That's true. That's true. I'm anti-trees all through.
Yeah, well, good. Completely anti-tree. Um, giant umbrella. Oh yeah, nice. If I play
See, look
this,
how pretty they are.
the sound would go through the thing. So I'm gonna watch this afterward. But I do like just the static image that it pulled up.
Yeah, I think they're beautiful, and so I excuse it. Anti-tree.
Mm-hmm. What do we got? Vale's hitting us with the I want to invent pollen-filled umbrellas. Greg's like, and what if I have a plan to solve the problem once and for all by blowing up the sun? That's a good point.
Mm.
If you blow up the sun, you won't have to block out the sun anymore.
Yeah, this is a total Oh my gosh, what's the guy's name? The purple man from the movies that
Thanos?
kills everyone. Thanos, yeah. That's like a very Thanos solution. He's like climate change. I'll just blow up the sun.
I'll blow up half the sun by snapping.
I'll blow up exactly half the sun and it'll make it half the temperature. Definitely.
I've thought this out. I've done the math. Half is good. That's the right amount.
My research.
Yeah, you know it's stupid though. He would kill like a bunch of people to get to the point where he's killing half, and then he'd still kill half, and it's like, buddy, you already killed a bunch of guys. Your math is all wrong.
Reveal said, block the sun, ops, destroy the sun, management material.
Yeah. I think we're good to go. My dart trap is secure. Wow. Oh no, I don't have the question ready for the next thing.
Oh no! What's happening in the next chapters? Give a very short overview.
Yes. So there's 21. They talk to Perry and stuff. 21.1, I mean. And then it ends with Atlas returns. It's the only one where they don't have a fight, really. Well, they kind of do. They attack the PRT after their meeting is over, and it's just Tattletale, Skitter, and Rachel only. And, you know, she has that conversation with Tag where she's like, you can't catch me, and also I can keep coming here and beating you guys up. He's like, I don't care. I know you are, but what am I?
Dude, Tag is so annoying.
And then the next one is the one where they fight who is it? They're beating the shit out of they're saying the teeth are the fallen. She goes to her mom's grave. It's very sad.
Oh my god, no.
And there's that very nice man, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and we finally see the notes. We finally, after all this time, we'll see Dinah's notes.
Oh my gosh. Write your own Dinah notes.
Yeah, 21.2. Write your own comedic Dinah notes to Taylor. Perfect.
2 notes. She hasn't seen them in weeks, months, maybe.
Yes. There we go. That was perfect. Thank you for nailing that. Perfect. All right. Well, we get a thanks as always. Take care, and we got a sorry not sorry from Vale. So that's very very nice. Thank you for being sorry not sorry in character as somebody else. I am going to start up the ending unless you have anything else to say. I think we're gonna.
No, go for it.
All right. So this was the end of Arc 20. You know what? We didn't talk about it much, but this one was named Chrysalis. Yes. We'll start talking about the names in the future, but all right, song begin. So this shit, were we gonna cover the Lost chapter next week?
Maybe.
Okay, we may cover the Lost chapter, and if we do, the question will be Lost chapter based. Anyway, so this is the song Queen Scourge by ScarlettXOX. You can find her work at twitch.tv/Scarlett_Rogue. Our Discord server can be found at the link in the channel description and the stream description. The author of the work being discussed can be supported on Patreon at patreon.com/Wildbow. The full text of the work is available for free online at parahumans.wordpress.com. And there is also a fan-made audiobook of the entire work at audioworm.com/. www.rain-online.org. And, you know, we gotta run out the clock. We got 30 more seconds of amping on this song.
Oh, dear God.
Dear
Okay,
God,
well,
that's such a long time.
our question for if we do the freaking other chapter, the secret special deleted chapter, is what would you have changed to try to make this chapter work if we wanted to have kept it in the story?
Nice. All right. Well, I think that is a good question, and I'll write that down in a second. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.